So welcome. Today I have Courtney with me here. And Courtney, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks. So my name is Courtney O'Brien. I'm a men's group facilitator in Maine. And I also help other facilitators through trainings and consultation learn how to become better at working in men's group.
Yeah. So Courtney, would you mind saying just a little bit about how long have you been doing men's groups, just to give us a little bit of context? I remember meeting you in your
Sure. Yep.
earlier days.
Yes, I've been a men's group facilitator and program manager for us about 7 years now.
Yeah, great. So glad that you're here. So, what we're going to talk about today, and what we want to hear from you about, Courtney, is being a female co facilitator. Now, I guess I should ask you, have you always co facilitated with someone who identifies as male? I thought that was the case. So, that's what we want to talk about. You're giving messaging not just to female facilitators, but also to male facilitators for those who are doing, female, male, and we know not everybody can do that. But what I want to just sort of talk with you a little bit about and be a little reflective about is to think about what are some messages that you might have and have hope for in terms of male facilitators, in terms of thinking about doing co-facilitation with a female. So why don't we just start there and see what you have
Yeah,
for
yeah,
us?
thank you. I think it's important. We always do class with a male co-facilitator and female co-facilitator for lots of reasons, but something that is not always obvious is that the female co-facilitator is a representation of the men's partners and former partners and future partners, whether we want to be or not. We are seen as that kind of representation in class. So it's important, obviously, for male co-facilitators to always treat us with like the highest level of respect and support in front of the men. But it's also a really can be a surprisingly vulnerable position to be the only woman in that room. I've
Can you
been,
talk about that? I think that's important to name a little bit. But
yeah,
for you, what is that vulnerability? What's that felt like? What's that been like?
yeah, I've been surprised by my own experience and the experience of I also supervise other male and female co-facilitators by hearing from them how hard it can be to be in that room, to be the only woman in that room, and to be a representation of his victim and partner. What does that vulnerability feel like? It kind of feels like it's harder than you would think to take up the space that you want to take up in the room. Like it is safe. I am physically safe, but it sometimes feels like not safe.
Yeah. So what's kind of the messaging that you might have for male, co-facilitators about how they might support you or what might not feel supportive, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's important for male co-facilitators to remember we don't have exactly the same job.
Yeah.
And so when I'm getting feedback after a class, that's not the same as when he's getting feedback after a class because I'm in this vulnerable position because it does sometimes feel a little bit nerve-wracking or insecure. And because I've been socialized female, right? Women get a lot of messages about like, don't make men angry. And in
Mhm.
men's group, I have to like ask the next right question to a participant, even if I'm afraid he might feel angry about it. So I'm
Yeah.
pushing against my socialization all the time. And so I need my male co-facilitators to ask questions after class, to listen after class, to not jump in with critical feedback right after class. Um,
Ah,
yeah, because I may not be quite ready to hear it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
that's really interesting, Courtney, because one of the things I was thinking about also is I remember having a conversation with a male, in this work, and I said, I just have to say, like, when you talk, like, this confidence that you have about like what you say is always so fascinating to me because I may come off on that, but I don't always have it, right? And he's like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah, when you get socialized in the world, right?
Yes.
Like as a female." And then I think, so I haven't thought about this, Courtney, in terms of then taking that in terms of this space, right? Where you are the only female and thinking about it in that sort of way about how that socialization sort of impacts, that sort of relationship with your co-facilitator.
Yeah, and I think it can affect the way that we as female co-facilitators give feedback to our male co-facilitators. That in the same way, I have more information about what it might be like to be a survivor if I'm the only woman in the room. I just from living in the world as a woman
Yeah,
who's at risk of men's violence. So I might know in this way that female co-facilitators have a knowing about domestic violence and have to give that feedback to my male co-facilitator who, despite being lovely and really wanting to do a great job, might not know. Oh, when you
yeah,
said that, this is how that might be misinterpreted by the guys or something like that.
yeah.
It makes it even harder if that person is my boss, right?
Oh, right, because there's a power relationship also.
Exactly. So in class, and I was the boss in the program that I was in. So I had to work with my male co-facilitators to say, like, I'm not really your boss in class. We're peers. That's the ideal. But if my boss is male and he's my boss, and we're teaching in class where I'm the only woman, there's a huge power gap there.
Yeah,
And so it's my responsibility to give him that feedback. But I think our male co-facilitators and especially if they're our bosses also can go a long way to try to support us
yeah,
to be able to give that feedback, to show us that they value that feedback,
yeah,
even if it's just coming from this kind of inner knowing of being a woman in the world.
yeah. Well, thank you, Courtney. So just so everyone knows, we're going to continue this topic in another video, but we're trying to keep these short. So this has been really helpful, though, I think, to think about vulnerability, to think about these power relationships, and to think about the socialization. And thank you so much. If you want to hear more from Courtney, join us in the next video.